Welcome to SHOWstudio's London Roundup. We're going to be dissecting the Spring/Summer 18 shows, but first let's do introductions, so we'll start with you, Danielle.
Hello, I'm Danielle Radojcin. I'm a freelance fashion journalist and broadcaster.
Hi, I'm India Doyle. I'm fashion editor at Culture Trip.
Hi, I'm Hilary Alexander. I'm editor-at-large for Hello Fashion Monthly and a trustee of Graduate Fashion Week.
Oh, hello, I'm Princess Julia and I'm a culture correspondent at ID magazine.
And I'm Georgie, I'm junior editor at SHOWstudio. So let's jump straight in. I kind of feel like, and maybe I've got rose-tinted glasses on, but I kind of feel like London was a bit more jovial this year. I feel like last season everyone was a bit slow, a bit heavy, a bit less excitable, and this season was kind of party vibes, everyone was smiling, lots of glitter. I feel like it was just a bit happier. People were walking from show to show with a smile on their face, and the clothes were a bit more oomph. So with that in mind, I'm going to jump straight in and talk about Molly Goddard, which is this amazing party show, girls in these beautiful frocks and cigarettes and drinks, and it was very relaxed and super fun and jovial. But what did you guys think?
Oh, I loved it. I always feel that, you know, seeing a Molly Goddard collection, it's a bit like Degas on acid. And it's insane because there's all these wonderful tulle, sort of incredible frocks. But yet, I mean, this season, you know, I mean, this show, she had wellies and some of the girls had bare feet. And it was really, really, really upbeat and feminine. And it was indicative, I think, of how strong all the female women designers have been this season.
I think it was a really nice continuation from the exhibition that she did earlier in the year in Greenwich, at the Now Gallery as well, which was kind of an interactive exhibition, wasn't it, with her dresses, and I just thought that was quite nice, that she can have that like fun side, but then she also does those serious exhibitions as well. And also that Sadiq Khan was there at her show. Did you see him?
The what?
Did you see Sadiq at her show?
Oh yes, somebody told me he was there. I didn't actually see him. I mean, what a brilliant show to go to.
I know.
Did he say his daughter was a fan or something? I think
that's why he went, is because his daughter really wanted to go.
Yeah, I just love the whole, she's kind of stepping a little bit away from tulle. It's still there, but there's this really nice fresh cotton, looks like thick fresh cotton as well.
And then the metallic.
Yeah, and all the glitter, which Erin O'Connor, and there's some there actually. Erin O'Connor came down the runway at the end, which was amazing as well. I feel like everyone came out of it kind of with this huge grin on their face, and some people were quite emotional, and feels like a real progression for Molly. But yeah, would you wear it?
Oh yes.
Yeah? Budget allowing, obviously.
Oh yes, yes. I'm going to wait until she does her capsule collection for H&M.
Okay,
Then I can afford it.
Can you imagine the queues?
I think what she's done that's cool is that she's made this kind of idea of a Molly girl, and like there's an atmosphere and like a vibe that you really want to buy into. So even if you can't afford the clothes, you can kind of like involve yourself in the identity of it. So all you need is a glass of cargo and an e-cigarette, and actually the swagger is enough to be like that Molly Goddard vibe.
That's so true.
And then wellies.
And wellies, exactly.
It was very Glasto, actually, wasn't it? If you think
it was
about
quite Glasto, or Port Elliot, we were saying earlier.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think this was amazing, especially the little cardies. And that blazer, the blazers are new as well. I should mention those.
Well, it was nice that these little additional pieces were just slipped in. She didn't make a great big deal about it, like, oh, hey, look, I'm doing this, I'm doing that. They just suddenly, and that cardigan was gorgeous.
Yeah. And I like that she showed obviously a catwalk showing the clothes in motion, but the girls stopped and swayed and did a little dance, and the crowds were all whooping and all this kind of stuff. It's fun. Like you said, it gives this aura of this kind of Molly girl clique that you want to be a part of. You want to buy the dress, you want to buy the cardigan, or just walk around barefoot with an e-cig.
Yeah, and a glass of champagne or Prosecco.
Yeah.
I said Carver, which
Carver,
shows what kind of Molly girl.
What do you think, Julia, just at first glance?
There's a sort of a relaxed glamour attached to what she does. So it all looks really quite comfortable, even if you're swathed in yards of tulle and whatnot. And I am actually really enjoying that she's sort of coming into her own actually more, and actually showing a kind of a diversity to another dimension to what the Molly girl is all about, you know. And so she's quite sort of risque, she's fun, she'll throw her shoes off and dance around in the mud, she's really hot as well, I feel.
But then she can put on the blue blazer and go to work.
Yeah, that's it, yeah. So,
Great day tonight.
and Molly herself is adorable, I have to say.
Yeah, she's
I love her. It's very interesting seeing how it's coming along. I like that lilac number actually in the middle. Would you wear that? Hilary?
I'm not really a lilac sort of girl. I'd wear it if it was in
Quite a lot of lilac.
orange or black, I think. I would wear the cardigan.
It's this like Pantone pink lavender colour that everyone's hyping about.
I like the fact too that she did it at the BFC, you know, in the show space, all white. So it wasn't one of the sort of presentation type things that she'd done in the past with a lot of props and theatrical sort of
Like
elements.
a kind of hybrid of the two. It didn't quite feel like a show where they do the lap. It kind of felt like this weird, almost a hybrid of a presentation and a show.
Well, she had that great, just the steps I think made such a difference to the rhythm of how it was seen and the kind of feel of the presentation, which was a nice addition.
Yeah, oh, they look so happy.
It was lovely, really, really fun.
I think she has put family really strongly, like she works with her sister and the family vibe, and I think works with her boyfriend too, and it's really
And her
at the
mother
heart of
too.
it.
Her
And
mother's
mum,
a set designer, I think, or theatrical designer of some kind.
yeah, it really comes through in the kind of general ethos of it.
Yeah. Yeah, I think you're right. I think that adds to what you were saying earlier about the whole girl, family, clique. So we like Molly Goddard. That was a quick and easy one.
I mean, I think she was one of, if you look at it, Molly, Simone, which was another standout
Simone was
show.
beautiful.
And there really is a Simone Rocha girl as well.
Yeah.
I think it's so interesting the way these young girl designers, because they're not really fully fledged women, are they, are really carving out this sort of total identity.
Yeah.
I mean, before, you know, the Henry Holland girl people used to talk about.
I think the interesting thing with Simone, though, was that you really felt that sense of motherhood coming through for her, and she's spoken a lot because she recently became a mother for the first time. And I think there is that nice girliness there that she's always had, but also I felt like with this collection, you could just feel that it felt a bit more serious and grown up as well, and then maybe it was a bit more wearable in that way.
Yeah, for sure.
But I always love the workmanship and the detail. And she always chooses the most amazing locations.
Yes. Yeah.
Southwark, this was one of the Inns of Court, Lincoln's Inn, wasn't it?
I think so, yeah. And she has amazing accessories, which you don't necessarily spot on first glance because the clothes are so decadent, but she has these beautiful earrings that are really, if you're kind of like a tomboy like me, you could tap into those rather than having to go full frill.
I think she spoke about being influenced by her dolls from childhood and how she really she used to chuck her dolls down the stairs and their faces were all smashed, and that was what inspired her. And when I read that comment, the collection really made a lot more sense for me somehow.
Yeah, that's true. They do look kind of like angelic.
And it kind of built like a further, I mean, like a romantic, I don't know, really extravagant finish. And I like the way you kind of get that sense of like maybe start with a doll and they're playing and then by the end it's a bit madder, but...
I love the way there's this sort of faint hint of what her father John Rocha used to do, you know, in terms of the crochet lace and that faintly sort of Irish Victorian kind of silhouette that often creeps in. But she's completely gone her own way.
Yeah, for sure. I think it's so impressive to see the progression. I think you're right, it does feel very much like, I feel like they always nod to what's going on in her life. I mean, obviously she draws from that for inspiration, but this does feel kind of like a rounding off of settling into motherhood, settling into her rhythm. Yeah, it's beautiful. I love it. It's great.
I think it's cool to look at her use of glitter as well, which is a lot more subtle than in Molly Goddard, but they both kind of, and to compare the two, like obviously Simone is a bit further along in her career, and just the way in which you can still be playful and still be romantic and have that kind of fantasy element, but the way in which it develops and kind of arcs as you progress in your career.
And it's interesting that you mention the mother aspect, because I feel like that was quite prevalent throughout the shows. There's kind of, not stereotype, but these kind of like emblems of women. Like there was lots of, like Marquez Almeida nodded to kind of motherhood, and all these, all the songs are about respecting mothers and being an independent woman and all this kind of stuff. And I feel like Molly, Simone, Marquez Almeida, there was lots of kind of the elegant woman, the teen Vogue, the mother. Lots of shows this season kind of nodded to.
Oh, Mary Catranzo, another one.
Mary Catranzo as well, yeah, looking to childhood.
Yeah, and daughters too. I think at Preen, there was a theme of how to approach young women and celebrate them, and allowing young women to wear whatever they want to wear, no matter what their careers are. If they want to wear pretty dresses, they can wear pretty dresses. Or,
yeah.
So yeah, I think you're right. There was a lot of that feeling.
Pretty emblematic now, given what's going on in the news, but it seemed to be a forward to what's happening. But yeah, let's look at Marquez Almeida real quick, because we did do a panel on it. But what do you guys think of this on first impression?
I love it. I think it's so them and so kind. I love the use of, I think it's cowhide later on, and the bias cuts and the energy, and it's kind of grungy, but it's also very fashion. I don't know, it felt a bit like punk. I just thought it was brilliant amalgamation of everything.
Yeah, I loved it too. I think it's so impressive the way they've really managed to move on from that thing which made them famous in the beginning.
What, the denim?
The frayed denim.
Yeah.
Because you kind of got to the point where you thought they ever going to be able to rise above this, because it sort of became bigger than them, didn't it? Mm. But they really have managed that, and they've got such a loyal fan base. And when I look at these pictures, I just think they really do sum up the London woman to me. Yeah. It feels so London.
I love what they do with stripes.
Yeah. There's a double piece with the red and white stripes. It's just.
Yeah.
What about you, Julia? Do you like it?
I'm quite interested in the way that everything's been layered up, and sort of quite unusual combinations, and so there's much more sort of experimental sort of vibe going on, and I noticed that with Molly as well, and I think there's a definite feel of fashion clashing going on, which I enjoy. So it's always, yeah. I like
fashion
sort of
clashing,
like,
everyone.
you know, just slinging stuff on and seeing if it kind of works. So there's no rules, or if there are rules, they're being broken left, right, and centre. Oh, that's nice. Sort of like a top with trousers and a dress over some fringy thing over the top.
It's kind of gloriously random.
Yeah.
As if everything was kind of on the floor.
Yeah.
And the models just sort of picked up.
Like they picked up scraps of different fabrics.
One pile was tops, one pile was bottom halves, and they sort of.
It looks really effortless, though.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
I think it's hugely aspirational for young fashion-minded girls.
They're another brand that's really built an MA girl, and like obviously it's a massive part of their social media, but I think it's a really powerful way of just keeping the identity. And
yeah, they're super smart with their social and how to approach their customer.
I think just going back to what we were saying about Simone and Molly as well, there is that undercurrent of transgression, which going back to what you said, I think it does feel like it's quite British feeling.
Which is quite interesting,
there's sort of that London look.
Yeah.
Which so many, Italian and French and American designers long to be able to do, but never quite works, does it?
Who else wowed us? Julia, who is your fave?
One of my faves, Delara Findakoglu.
Yes, I loved. I spoke to her the other day about some of this. She got quite like a hilarious backlash from these like crazy religious types.
Oh yeah.
Because her clothing's covered in.
I didn't see it. Where
oh my God, it was so good. It was so good.
St Andrew's Church.
It was very exciting.
And it's her first show. She'd previously done presentations, but because she has so many satanic Masonic symbols on her clothes, and she did it in a church, and look, there's the devil. She got such a huge, weird, like from America, like Fox News type backlash of being like, Satan.
Where did she study?
Church.
Where did she come up from?
CSM.
CSM.
Oh, yeah, I'm pretty sure CSM. Yeah, so...
I think the vicar who hired the church to her had to do an apology. Sorry, shouldn't I?
She's another designer who's interesting for having built an audience via her Instagram account right?
Yeah,
for sure.
I think it's quite interesting because she often, that's where the love for her comes through, doesn't it?
Definitely, and
To the
also
critics,
because she's not super prevalent anywhere else really. You have to kind of find her through Instagram, and same comes through in her casting. So she had Grace Neutral, who's like a hugely influential tattoo designer who you can predominantly find on Instagram. Yeah. Same with, Violet Chachki, who's a drag queen. She walked, and then Susie you were talking about earlier. He's got a huge Instagram following, so you're quite right in saying that.
Yeah. Such a great show, really exciting.
It's quite niche, but you can understand, sort of where it's coming from and where it's going.
I can see you in that tartan.
I don't know, I
see that.
I like the big red Scarlet Woman ball gown.
Yeah, I know, that was hot fave.
Was it?
Yeah.
Not sure about the little
But I love, the personalities of the models coming through, but the personalities of the clothes, they're fantastic. It's right up my street.
The detail on them is really impressive.
Yeah.
It's what I like too is it's got that sort of very outrageous element, which is very like the way Gareth Pugh and McQueen sort of when they were doing their very, very early shows in London. Always that, little X factor that was
pushing that little bit.
Pushing the buttons of outrage.
Yeah. It was great. Yeah, a bit controversial, but great.
Is it? Well, only because...
Not the clothes, I think just some crazy...
Yeah.
Ever so slightly.
But that can work in your favour. And also, Dilara herself is a bit of a style icon. That's putting it mildly.
Yeah, she's gorgeous.
Yeah. And sort of very exciting person. So I think that the spirit... And the spirit of London, for me, that's quite old style as well. That sort of energy that comes through that I adore, having
punk street, the whole
the new romantic era, which I'm part of, the whole thing.
You could
that's so me.
If you took away the hair and the makeup,
and put my head on top,
and the wacky shoes, there'd probably be bits that even Theresa May could wear.
Oh, don't say that. No, you never know. Oh gosh.
Oh my God.
Well, that's always like the secret of a really good collection, is that actually the actual garments themselves, if you take away all the trappings and everything, they're completely wearable and stylish and gorgeous. Dilara has an amazing sort of fan base of quite different people, and she makes bespoke clothing for people.
She does. She's made some incredible wedding gear.
Who wears her stuff? Do you know?
I think she made something for Kim Gordon, didn't she? Yeah. And people like that, proper like sort of rock and roll, high society, some real icons.
Yeah.
Dare I say that word? But there's definitely something. The model on the end there is basically wearing a t-shirt with a blouse underneath. Yeah. So you can take that away with you. So that's what I'm talking about with the underpinnings, and that's always what I used to sort of say about Gareth Pugh. When he did that amazing show, one of his first shows with the light up coat. Do you remember that one? It was fabulous.
And then the one with the
it was like floating along. But the sort of underpinnings of it, obviously that was a showstopper. And I think it's good to have showstoppers in shows. I think it's fun.
Like the
I think that's something that we do so well here in the UK at London Fashion Week,
But this is great because it's kind of in the tradition, not just of Gareth and Lee McQueen, but also if you look at Pam Hogg, who is still out there doing that totally, outrageous music, sex, fashion.
Yeah, she is.
Yeah.
And does it so fantastically well. Yeah.
I'm glad we approve. Yeah, I agree. I think it's nice that we've got these. Obviously Dilara's Turkish, but this does feel quintessentially British because of its attitude, like you're saying. Pam's still giving off this. Everything we've been talking about so far is giving off this British attitude, but in various different ways. This young British girl, Molly's feel very West London British. This is super punk.
Yeah.
Anything else that we felt kind of screamed London?
Matty Boven.
Matty Boven is a really good
yes.
shout.
We love a bit of Matty.
I love Matty. And he's been nominated as the one of the emerging
Womenswear designers.
womenswear designers.
Yeah. He's cool.
And he's so clever at sort of layering things up as well, I find, and also with texture is very important to him.
Yeah. This was amazing.
Yeah.
I know, but I
Yeah.
love all of this. There's a kind of sort of Portobello Road antique market, you know, flea market feel, you know, just found.
It was kind of tribal as well, like
Tribal,
odd
yes.
little, they had like plastic curls and belts and great earrings, but kind of looked kind of home crafted from the toolkit or like the drawer of like No Return in your kitchen.
I think that it literally is created
Yeah.
from the drawer of No Return.
Everyone's got one. He also had an incredible cast. There was like Edie and Georgia Jagger.
Oh, I bet they love doing these shows.
Yeah.
I mean, what a fabulous
Winnie Harlow, I think.
antidote to sort of, you know, having to be all cool and fabulous.
It's also just nice to see them in clothes like this and less kind of
organised.
That's a good way of saying it.
I think since he's been working with Katie Grand as his creative director now, then you can, you know, she always brings those girls, doesn't she? So that obviously gives them a huge boost, and they look great. And I think there's a real joy in the clothes as well, and a real sense of. I got that from a lot of the collections, like Michael Halpin, and also the ones we've already mentioned, like Molly Goddard and stuff. But just the sense of trying to transcend all the kind of depressing news, the stress of daily life around social media.
Yeah.
Just this, like, when fashion can be escapist, but also really joyful in a quite authentic way. That's the sense I got from this collection.
I think in times of austerity, fashion is one of those things, and other creative arts that sort of like becomes of sort of prime importance, I think, to creative people, but to people in general, hopefully. You know, it makes you sort of struggle harder almost.
I think too with the London-based designers or British designers, there's always the feeling that, yes, if you can afford it, you can go and buy the real thing. But you could actually take inspiration and go and put something like that together.
Definitely.
You know, from what you've already got in your wardrobe, or maybe you buy something in Oxfam, or, you know, a charity
Cut something
shop,
or
cut something up.
tear something.
Or as you said, you know, with the t-shirt over a white blouse, add boots, result.
Sorted.
I think, it's the performance and the kind of fantasy.
Oh, you're doing it already.
Oh, exactly. Exactly.
He's such a trendsetter,
I'm
isn't
such a trendsetter. But it's that thing of like transferring the fantasy and the escapism into something that you can actually take home with you, and that London designers do really well, and that it's on the catwalk, but it's actually kind of emanates beyond that into the.
Yeah, and I think to Hilary's point as well, there is that sense that you could go back home and spend a weekend afternoon cutting clothes up and doing that, but the point is that most people don't, and it takes someone like Matty to actually do that for you.
To lead the way.
I love this. I want to
Go
stay
and wear
on
your mother's
Fashionista
dresses
a
or
bit.
something.
Exactly.
I want to stay on Fashionista because there's a new designer for Fashionista this season. I think it was this season, it's her first one, called Supriya. And hers were just
Supriya.
super, the top, it's kind of inspired by her Indian heritage, but also kind of like 90s
I think she
R&B.
showed, didn't she show last
I think she
season?
might have showed last season.
Presentation.
Yes.
But this is her first time walking, I think.
Oh, right, yeah.
I'm not too sure.
Sorry,
We'll
yeah.
have to fact check that. But yeah, I just thought this was super sexy and super kind of joyful, but from a different perspective. Like, I want to wear this clubbing, I want to wear this to a bar, I want to wear this to a party. And it's not often you get to see that. I don't know. I just thought it was really interesting.
It's really wearable for Fashionista.
Yeah, very wearable for Fashionista.
Which is great to see, like a British designer who is thinking commercially, potentially at that stage, because that's quite rare, actually.
And you could really see the Indian influence coming through in some of the like madras checks and stuff. I thought it was really nice, and that's another theme that I saw quite a lot of at the show.
Loads of checks.
Cross-cultural referencing.
Yeah.
Obviously antidote to Brexit and all that sort of stuff. But yeah, seeing it kind of transferred into this really wearable collection was nice.
What were the fabrics that Saria was using, Georgie?
I couldn't tell you. But I think she had these kind of like lacquered plastic, from looking at it, they had these plastics over the Madras check.
Right.
But I don't think it was like hard plastic, kind of, it was formed to the body. It's really soft, yeah.
I mean, that really vibrant electric purple.
Yeah, it's amazing.
Sort of cocktail evening party.
It's that lilac.
It's quite amazing.
Plasticky surface fabrics. Did you notice that? I felt like I
think that's from like.
Oh, remembering Chris Kane.
Exactly, yeah. Chris Kane.
We should definitely look at Christopher Kane. If that's
And that layering effect, you know, so you had clear.
You can stay on fashion.
Yeah.
I just want to, because I went to the presentation.
Did you?
And I enjoyed the Harry Evans.
Harry Evans.
Can we get that
fashionista
up?
presentation. What did you like about Harry?
Well, because he's very new, and I think this is his debut collection, and I enjoyed the sort of everything about it, really. And, from the casting to the way that he put the outfits together and what they were. I mean, obviously it's a very small collection, but I just thought it was really super cute and like fun, and I wanted to wear quite a few pieces out of it. That's my main objective when I go to a show. I'm actually just choosing clothes that I'd like to borrow or wear, and then I'm sort of like, can I borrow that dress, please? I'll be round in half an hour.
Yeah, this is great. I like those. Are those freestanding armbands? Have they come?
I'm not too sure. It's a bit hard to see from here, but there was a lot of sort of stringy thingy type, sort of adornment type clothing, which I think it's fun to wear in clubs and out and about, down the shops, wherever you like. I like things that sort of travel from day to night. You know, that you feel comfortable wearing in the street, and then you can go straight out after.
Detailing on that skirt's amazing. Yeah. That's amazing.
Beautiful model, Iman.
That's gorgeous. This pinky lavender is everywhere.
That's wonderful.
It's like a shade off millennial pink.
Yeah, a shade of millennial pink. Yeah, really nice.
Yeah, that gold. You could see me in that, couldn't you?
I can.
Yeah, I know. I could see you in that too.
Can you?
Yeah.
I'll give it a go. Harry, if
Maybe
you're
over
watching.
black trousers.
Yeah, you could do that. That could work.
Gold was everywhere, actually. There was like quite a lot.
Lots of like gold, glitters, this like pinky lavender and checks, and then that plastic we were talking about a minute ago. The Calvin Klein effect.
I love seeing the sort of like, you know, the first sort of collections from people when they
Just
leave college, and as you work in that whole area, it must be so fascinating for you to see how people progress on their creative paths.
I mean, it was a bit like Richard Quinn, who has done so well, you know, and I can remember his collection on the catwalk at Central St Martin's, and then suddenly there he's showing, you know, at London Fashion Week, and he's now just won the H&M Design Prize, and he's got a little capsule collection on sale in H&M, which is brilliant.
It's amazing.
In that floral PVC and sequined black and white checks again, checks.
Yeah,
and he's got a studio in Peckham, which is just down the road from me, which is really nice.
Do you pop round
for neighbours with Richard Quinn? Stop by for an outfit. Let's talk about Christopher Kane, because we briefly touched on him, but I think he deserves a decent. So this was kind of like, I can't remember what it was called. I've got it written down somewhere. Domestic services, which was great. Kind of this. The Crocs were back.
Yay.
And then these shoes that kind of sent Instagram into a frenzy with these kind of foam cleaner trims. And then there was a collaboration with John, I can never remember his surname. Kassir? I can't remember. Sorry if I've pronounced that terribly wrong. With the beautiful bums. What did you guys think?
I think it's a lovely collection, actually. And I didn't go to this show, I can't always go to all of them, but I do try and go to a few. But I love this because actually it's still very, Christopher Kane is a very ladylike sort of elegance attached to what he does, and he's still managed to, he still has that in his silhouette, and he's got those sort of kooky touches, and that's fine. But actually, you're really looking at sort of like the craft that's going into what he's created there, and it's actually all very ladylike, isn't it?
Beautiful. I missed it as well because I was working on the breast cancer care gala, so I really only got to see shows on Saturday and Sunday.
Let you off.
But I then went straight into Instagram and the web, to see it. I thought it was really extremely polished, and I loved just the layering and the way he used that sort of clear plastic and sheer fabrics over something else, so you've got a really sort of heightened sense of texture.
It feels like super, like you say, super succinct, super feminine, but also there's this kind of like real subtle like fetish vibe that I'm getting from like the plastics, from the bums, the bum print on the t-shirt, the kind of like lace, I'm just going to say bums and more, the kind of like lace trims, which kind of nod to this like French maid. I really
That also really harks back to his very, very first the Harrods Design Prize, with all the
bondage,
lace and lingerie and bondage, and
I think he always has a bit of kink.
Yeah, sort of sexy, sort of kinky housewife theme, and the soundtrack was sort of housework, like doing the dishes and Hoover. And then there was elements of the home and some of the clothes, I think with peg, like you can see pegs on some of the clothes, like clothes pegs, that sort of thing coming through. But then it was like set off against that like white, clean, kinky, sex, PVC type.
But that whole thing about sort of domestic and services, you probably wouldn't remember, you mightn't even been born, but many, many years ago, one of the early London Fashion Weeks, Wayne Hemingway, who was doing Red or Dead, did this absolutely bizarre show, which was about suburban housewives going psychotic, and they were coming down the catwalk waving irons and sort of covered in blood and, completely mad. I mean, that was taking it to a really
Don't
bizarre
make them like that anymore,
But I think the way Christopher does it, he sort of reins it in slightly. It's just a suggestion, not full-blown
It's a little hint, you
psychosis.
might blink and you'll miss it kind of vibes.
Yeah, I think I even spoke about how he was inspired by this woman who was a brothel owner in the 80s in South London.
Yeah.
So there's that whole like London's like tabloid scandal thing sort of brought in. But I was also really fascinated by the cages. Did you see those? I think they were a bit further on in the show. The models were wearing around their torsos.
Oh, I see.
And its dresses, because I thought they were really beautiful, and you could really imagine wearing those over a beautiful slip dress. Or, and I think that's kind of his genius. He's completely modern, and he does these things which are having quite far out ideas. But then at the end of the day, you can really see that stuff selling.
Yeah, ultimately, it's totally wearable.
Again, it's like the performance of an identity as well, and that fantasy element that designers are offering as a kind of escapist. And here it's really obvious because you have suburban housewives and then dreaming of something else. But in general, it's interesting that he, as a more established designer, is really honing in on that fantasy element in a way which is super wearable and kind of like easy to take home. And also that you could wear, you put on a Swarovski cage as you're doing the dishes.
It's also that whole glam. It's an interesting counterpoint to that whole like Matty Bovan, like go out and party woo thing, and sort of making it much more introverted and about the home. And similar, when J.W. Anderson did that, much more sort of home, inward looking, at home.
We had tea towels, didn't he?
Yeah. The sense of needing to sort of retreat from the world, as well as the counterpoint to that is the whole celebration, go out and party theme.
I've noticed on Insta in the last couple of weeks, rather than the shots that we're seeing here, like full length, head to toe, Christopher Kane's own team are posting really detailed close-ups, like from a shoulder to mid-thigh, for example. So you really, really can see
Yeah.
the intricacy of the sort of layers, the fabric, the way.
That's
it's
great
sort
for the viewer who wasn't there.
really, really nice. It's sort of almost more interesting. Oh yeah, this sort of thing. Yeah, which is
Really
brilliant.
smart.
Which you don't even get to see on the catwalk,
Yeah.
really. Like,
And these are the kind of things that can really pass you by on a catwalk because you're so intent on sort of taking everything in. Look, I mean, really beautiful.
It's a really smart thing to do.
and I think what he's done with Crocs is actually amazing. There's not many designers that could take the most reviled shoe of all time and bring it into fashion again.
Would you buy them? Anyone here got Crocs?
I would fully buy Crocs.
Oh no.
I really was looking at them like a couple of days ago.
Who did the sort of comedy platform crop?
Balenciaga.
Oh, right, okay.
Balenciaga.
That was in Paris. They were crazy.
That
I would
kind
wear
of
those
swayed
too.
me.
Platform or nothing.
Platform. That kind of swayed me. But
Yes, I can see
actually,
why.
no, yeah. But I was really against the crocage. But a few years ago, I was at an art gallery thingy, and I bumped into Sarah Lucas, and she had some Croc boots on. This was probably about 10 years ago or so. And because she had them on, it kind of swayed me a little bit at the time, and I thought I shouldn't be so anti.
Yeah.
Because she managed to sort of make them look really cool.
I think that's such
If
an
Crocs can really actually look cool. But I did see that, you know, how social media always picks up on the sort of most sort of thing that people might consider to gross themselves out. So the platform Croc was one of them, but actually because it was a platform, I was thinking,
Could be swayed.
maybe I could maybe
I feel like
I
that's a
could
lot.
slip into those.
But you look great in them.
No, I know. I can do any look, you know.
Versatile.
Yeah, oh yeah, yeah.
I like them because they're kind of quintessentially, I don't know if they are British, but they feel very British. I feel like that's quite like holiday on the beach with kids vibes.
Really?
Sorry, it did take many years to prize me away from Havaianas, I'm afraid.
See, I've got the same sort of feeling with flip-flops, to be fair.
Yeah.
I think they're a health hazard.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I think they're a health hazard, and they should not be worn in clubs.
Oh, no, not in clubs.
People do wear them.
That's rogue.
That is a health hazard.
I mean, I think fashion has a history of ugly shoe, doesn't it? From Uggs to those weird double pointing cowboy boots. And
Oh yeah.
it's like, there's got to be something on the menu.
There's also like a meta fashion trend happening at the moment because there's like socks and sandals and Crocs, and I feel like there's this whole thing about like it's fashion, but if you wore it anywhere that wasn't in the company of other people who are in fashion, it would just be a really joke.
Yeah.
You'd be the laughing stock.
I think with those Crocs, there's also that whole kawaii thing happening that taps into that, doesn't it, a little bit? Crocs decorated with...
Oh yeah, those stickery things.
And that's part of its appeal on social media. You can see why that's Instagram.
Put your own stamp on it. I'm kind of conscious of time. Is there anyone else that we absolutely must talk about before we go?
Oh, is it? I know. Can I talk about something?
Of course you can.
Can we talk about Nico Panda? Because I did some fashion modelling in that.
So
That's a kind of young, and it ties in with the Crocs because it's a, you know.
catwalk.
Yeah.
Right.
Nicola Formichetti always has quite a young, sort of fun collection, and works with sort of things that you know, and sort of switches it all up a bit. I think that's really fun, and he's got a very loyal following, and it was just a fun thing to do. He asked me to walk in it.
So what did you wear?
Some pink net and a little boob tubey thing, and a bit of a tiara, you know, trossing along.
You buy this show on, you buy this on Amazon straight away.
Yeah, and that was the thing about it as well. You could actually order straight off the catwalk through Amazon, and you know, be wearing it the very next day, which is quite an interesting progression in the world of fashion.
Yeah, Amazon's an interesting route to go down.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it was in the warehouse there up in Jeffrey Street, and it worked really well actually. I thought it was a really good space.
Yeah.
Terry Barber did the makeup, who I adore. It's like the dream team.
Oh, good.
Yeah, it was fun. It was nice. You know, it's a young, sort of sporty, easy, ready-to-wear type collection.
It does have a huge cult following.
Yeah, and I do think that Nicola is definitely sort of worth watching, actually. And I always think, oh no, maybe I couldn't wear that. And then when I put things on, I think, oh yeah, that's good. That's really, like, I can wear that. That's a good thing.
Was it tied in with one of the big sportswear brands? Because there's sort of like Supreme, Adidas sort of.
Yeah, it looks like they've got college
going on.
Yeah, there's a sort of element of sportiness going on. I think that's just something that he does instinctively in his creations. And it was a really good casting as well. It was quite a sort of diverse.
You're in it.
Well, yeah, I'm bringing the older lady vibe into the mix.
Berets aren't going anywhere by the looks of things.
Yeah, you could get.
Were you allowed to wear your plaits?
No, they gave me. I had some different shoes on, but they were shoes that I'd probably wear in real life as well.
Is this his first season in London as well? Did he come over?
So,
Yeah,
I don't know. I'll have to check. I think so. I don't remember seeing it.
I thought it was good to get it in there, you know. And it was a nice experience because obviously I don't get asked up very often to do actual catwalk things.
Quite a unique one to look at, actually.
Yeah.
Quite different.
Yeah.
Oh, and just quickly, from the absolute sort of Mars to Venus, diametrically opposite collection, Margaret Howell.
Oh yeah.
I don't think she gets enough
We didn't
credit.
do Erdem. I love his things.
Let's do them all.
Margaret doesn't.
Erdem, she's
She
great.
never gets
And
really
she-
the recognition, and she's been going for I think something like 30 years, but always turning out the most incredibly immaculate, but gorgeous, and slightly sort of sexy, and that sort of headmistressy, hockey girl, head prefect sort of way. Just.
Don't you think it's a bit boring?
Oh no, but wait till these ones. I didn't like these, but you wait till. Oh no, there's probably the ghastly ones going to come up.
I mean,
first.
what I like about Margaret Howell is that she uses very traditional, and she's always done that, very traditional, and I think everything's produced here in the UK as much as possible, and there's a fabulous
the whole cricket sweater thing was really nice.
Of like local industries supporting, you know,
just sort of rush through, because
fabrics.
I just love the way she does a really great skirt and a blouse, and
That's it, yeah.
it's always put together in quite a subdued manner. But you can imagine, you think, buy one of those blouses, you're going to have it wear it with everything.
Yeah.
I love the colour
For a really
palette.
long time as well.
And she shows it.
Yeah.
A slight mistake, I think, showing menswear as well, but for
Why
me,
do you
that
think
it always sort of gets in the way. I find that even with Burberry, because you think, oh, I'm looking at women's wear. Go on, off the catwalk.
Get off.
Oh, look, a bit of mustard.
Yeah, there were just some really nice, and the way the trousers are cut is just fantastic.
That's nice, that really cropped skirt that we just went past it.
I think she's better in winter when she's working in tweeds and flannel and
Layers.
gabardine and more layers, yeah.
The thing I would think about Margaret Howell is that her fabrics are just so amazing. When you walk into her shop on Wigmore Street and you feel those fabrics, they're just gorgeous to feel. And like you said, that she uses British
Yeah.
fabric milled, a bit like J.W. Anderson used that Irish cloth mill for his fabrics. And that's just quite a nice counterpoint to all the glitter and out there crazy stuff, I think.
It's very true.
Also, her things is, you know, I would wear the menswear stuff. It's quite.
Yeah.
It's true, so you're window shopping from both. Yeah, that's great. Shall we quickly talk about Erdem?
Oh, yeah, go on.
Oh, but what's the date? November 2, his collection.
You've lost me.
November 1. He's doing this collection for H&M.
Oh, yes, yeah. I think
And apparently people are preparing to sleep outside
They always
the shop.
do, though, don't they? Yeah.
Going berserk.
See, Erdem always does a very beautiful frock,
we're going back to kind of
I find.
shapes of women we're talking about, kind
Yeah.
of as the girls.
And he's really very skilled at his craft.
Yeah, and actually one thing we didn't mention, I think in this show and also the Ryan Lowe show, they were both very like the Queen. And there was elements of like pearls and kind of Queen's handbag used, and here as well. I think he said he was inspired.
The coat and the sort of jacket and skirt.
Yeah, I love that tailoring on the right there with the cinch waist.
Yeah, there's this invitation to really own your femininity in a way that is empowering and kind of, well, in this case, regal, but.
And it's sort of occasion dressing, isn't it? Occasion.
Yeah, it doesn't feel whimsical at all. It feels very sort of solid.
Very ladylike.
Very ladylike.
I love a ladylike frock.
But you see, you could put it with your platforms.
Yeah.
It would be completely different.
Yeah.
They're wearing gloves.
With
They've got
Crocs.
gloves up here.
Gloves are good for a lady of a certain age. Sorry, excuse me a minute.
Hide the hands.
See, neck hands.
Yeah, this is beautiful. I love the princes.
It's really gorgeous, isn't it?
Really great. I like that there's all these different aspects of femininity that we've been talking about, but each of them kind of feel kind of British in their own way, kind of nodding to different aspects of Britain, the young girl, the queen, the mother, the party animal.
The clubber.
The clubber, yeah. It all kind of feels, that on the
I
left.
love that one on the left, that mix of colours. It's just gorgeous.
It's really nice.
This doesn't feel as London as it does British, like as a
Yeah, I think you're right there.
Oh, there's some crop tops there, which are good.
Nice. Nice bandeau shapes too. And always prints are really good. This is kind of 50s here. A little off-the-shoulder cardi.
Lovely.
I think cardigans are coming back.
Cardigans are definitely coming back.
Cardigans, glitter. Done a right trend report for you guys.
Oh, what about that nice green ruffly number? I'm very keen on a ruffly.
Yep, we'll get that for you.
Checks.
Yeah.
It's got all the tick list. So we're impressed.
That's nice on that.
You like Erdem?
Yeah. Any others on the fashion forum?
I like Michael Halpin.
Yeah.
Halpin was super glitter, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Let's have a look. Let's have a look.
Halpin.
It's nice. I think he's from New York, isn't it?
Yeah.
He? So it's just quite nice seeing that point of view.
Yeah,
amongst
definitely.
all the Brits, yeah.
Doesn't she always does a fabulous
Sequin, yes.
glitter moment with a social message.
Yeah.
Which I
It
think
was
was
slightly
really-
subdued this season. Last time was rainbows, and this time was all kind of like monochrome and had like kind of quite somber messages on the t-shirts and disco balls. So this is Halpin.
Here she comes.
This is great. Was this in a cinema?
Did you go to this? Who went to this show? Did you
No,
go?
I didn't go.
I didn't go, but it looks amazing.
Oh, okay.
It's so disco. It's like
Yeah.
It's a red carpet
Studio
affair.
54 sort of.
Yeah.
Isn't it?
Yeah, it makes you want to go out just looking at it. It's got that like energy to it.
New York City girl.
Is it quite retro looking in a weirdy way?
Yeah, it's quite
It reminds me a bit of Tom Ford.
Yeah, oh my God, it's so on the nose.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, that's gorgeous. I'd love that.
Quite vampy.
Yeah.
It's a red carpet affair.
Something for everyone at London Fashion Week.
Yeah, definitely.
It's kind of interesting he chose to show here, not in New York.
Yeah, that is interesting. I wonder where that is. I'm quite pleased
I
that
think
they did.
he went to he was at Central St Martin's and just loves London.
Thought he'd stay. Fair enough.
He's also been consulting for Versace, so maybe it's easier for him to be based here in Europe.
That makes sense.
It's also quite Hollywood, isn't it?
Yeah, it's very red carpety.
Yeah, there is something. I mean, there is something American about it. It's
Yeah.
much more kind of like
Polished.
Yeah, polished, but it's not. it's not necessarily refined, it's just kind of...
Yeah, it's less kind of commercial as New York tends to be. It's just kind of,
You sort of think of all those girls and, you know, young wives getting dressed up for those charity galas,
Right, exactly.
you know, and
Actually, I
reach for the helping.
Yeah, I was just looking at Ian Schrager's just brought a book out about Studio 54, just a massive like coffee table,
amazing.
that just full of photos from that time, and that just looks so like this. Actually,
That's beautiful. So what do we think of this in comparison to the kind of British girl vibe we were talking about earlier?
Completely different, isn't it?
Completely.
Yeah, it's very sort of almost sort of mature, sort of grown up.
Evening wear.
Yeah, very, yeah. And I think that I don't really know a lot about this designer, I'm afraid. So, but I think that they might have been inspired by some of the elements of what's going on here. Maybe think this is maybe quite a daring collection for them.
do I think it's daring?
I don't know, you know the designer better than me.
Oh yeah, I mean, I think he has his tradition. He's quite new. He's only done a few seasons, from what I gather. But he has a tradition of working with sequins and quite flamboyant and disco and going out, nighttime escape, that kind of vibe.
Cocktail hour.
I think what's funny is that, I mean, London doesn't really have a cocktail hour anymore. It's like a kind of a different, he's catering to a bit.
That's something different.
That's Wetherspoons. No, but it's catering to quite a different woman who doesn't actually necessarily exist here, like who would probably really like to exist in London, but I don't know.
These look like women, you know, women who don't work, if you know what I mean.
Yeah. Or just you have
Really
very glamorous.
gala frocks and looks, aren't they? Really events. They're real events.
Yeah. Real showpieces, actually.
Yeah.
It'd be great just to wear one into work, like.
Yeah, that's the London
in the
vibe.
office,
Yeah,
exactly.
These with some trainers.
Yeah.
Okay, anyone else that we want to speak to?
Oh, Richard Quinn. Can we have a quick look at Richard Quinn?
Of course we can. Let's look at Richard Quinn. So this wasn't his first show, was it?
No, second.
Second.
Yeah.
I always think these are amazing for shoots. That's amazing.
Ah. I can see why you like that.
This feels very British.
Yeah. But I've seen this stuff before, so I must have seen a previous collection.
Yeah.
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 Super striking, super floral. I love the clashing of prints. What did we say earlier? Clashing.
Fashion clashing.
Yeah. It hasn't, in one way, it hasn't dramatically moved on from the previous collection.
But it's so extreme, it doesn't need to, does it?
And he's just got such a sort of joyous, you know, exuberant approach to colour and print. I love it.
Yeah.
That's phenomenal. I love that green.
I read it as quite dystopian, but I wasn't at the show, so, but just like I don't know, something a bit eerie in the whole covering of the face.
I think that's quite interesting as well, because I kind of saw London Fashion Week as super, always look on the bright side of life kind of vibe. Like, don't worry, like chin up, get smiley, get drunk, have a fag, that kind of vibe. Whereas I do think you're right, this does kind of feel a little bit dystopian.
Just something like slightly out of sync with, because your immediate thing is that it's very floral and very overly feminine, but there's something.
This is the other side of London, the alternative performance side of London, which is really, really, really important. But it's like a flourishing, you know, the whole drag scene, the whole performance, alternative performance scene. So I think that's really coming into that, and it's really flourishing. You know, there's lots of really amazing things coming in, and there's always been in London these avant-garde threads of performance coming through into the catwalk, onto the catwalk, I should say. That's really very interesting, I find. But even though maybe it's jarring, there's still an element of fun and sort of irony attached to the way that this designer's putting his clothes together, which is fantastic. You know, I love that.
The actual silhouettes or the pieces are quite conventional. You know, you've got the sort of strapless, you know, prom frock, the blazer, you know, pieces that, you know, wouldn't look out of place.
Alternative to what we just saw.
Yeah.
It was kind of like Christopher Kane with The Housewife, but that take on femininity or take on the type of woman that is actually not as it seems. But to your point about performance, I think that Gareth's film obviously was such like an embodiment of that, taken to its most exciting finish.
Yeah.
I actually watched that this morning, and it was so, very visceral.
It was quite, so for viewers, we're talking about Gareth Pugh's fashion film, which Nick Knight of SHOWstudio did. Small plug there. Yeah, super dark, super violent, but not explicitly so. I loved it, obviously, but I'm slightly biased. So
I thought it was fantastic.
this is the collection.
Yeah.
Yeah. But you can
It was
see why they had to do a
fantastic.
fashion film, because that third look on the right is quite difficult to walk down the runway in.
Yeah.
So beyond.
And he does, like with the last one we just saw, but there's that kind of face covering, which Gareth Pugh's done a lot.
Yeah. Yeah, super striking.
And that really sort of fiery furnace, like red.
It's nice to see him not doing just black. Change.
Yeah, you're right on the nose there, Hilary, with the fire.
Well, I remember when he came back to London for the first time, I mean, what, 10 years after showing in Paris, he did that incredible show in the V&A with the flames and Joan of Arc burning at the stake. And it was...
I went to that.
It was dramatic, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was fantastic, yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, beautiful.
Yeah.
Super statement. I don't know who wears these though. Who wears Gareth Pugh? Do you know?
I would.
You wearing Gareth Pugh?
I would if I could, yeah.
Some feel like you
I
couldn't.
mean,
walk in
obviously
them.
some of these are sort of sculptural, you know, you can't, you might not wear these maybe in a shoot you'd wear them, obviously. But yeah, there's always things you can wear. There's always things you can wear or can be adapted.
I think they're so beautiful, but they're so uncomfortable. I mean, both in the film and also just looking at them, they're so uncomfortable and kind of like they work against the body so much that he's a master of that kind of disconnect and that. I want to say dystopian again.
It's kind of, it's dystopian, but it's like a kind of shell, or but armour. It's like armour for a modern urban life as well.
But they look as if it'd be impossible to get into an Uber easily.
Which is the main thing you should
say
consider
never.
designing.
Probably get into a black cab.
Exactly.
But that red Mac, I mean, yeah, put that on.
Yeah, very good for Storm Bryan.
So London Fashion Week, to wrap up, we're impressed with what we saw. We thought, what did we think? We're happy?
Yeah, women, young designers, and happiness.
Happiness, I think, is a good take.
I think it was like fashion at its best, you know, escapism, but sort of tempered with a lot of stuff that you'd actually want to wear, a lot of joy, happiness, up. Felt good.
And a sense of freedom,
Sense of freedom.
just to go for it.
Yeah, I mean, London Fashion Week provides such a fantastic platform for emerging talent, which everyone around the world looks towards. And, you know, even in these times, we are still creating designers, steering them towards a career where there is a platform for them to not only make things that are sellable and wearable, but also, you know, like show what a great imagination it can be opened up and explored and, you know, presented to people that makes you think. You know, it's, all art is a reflection of, you know, what's going on in society at any given time. And I think fashion is one of those mediums that enables the creator to, you know, explore and make some sort of social commentary. And I think that's always been very important in fashion in the UK.
You know that
especially, you know.
You know that poster that says, keep calm and carry on?
Yeah.
Well, this should be keep creative and carry on.
Yeah.
Keep creative and carry on. I think
Yeah.
that's the perfect note to end on. Thank you guys. Thank you so much.
Thanks, Georgie.